Welcome to the Blessors of Israel Podcast. I'm Matthew Dodd, Executive Director of Blessors of Israel. What do pagers and walkie-talkies have in common? Well, not only do both devices permit users to communicate with one another, when modified by Israel, they can also send an explosive message to one's enemies. On Tuesday, September 17th, pagers used by Hezbollah terrorists exploded throughout Lebanon and Syria, leaving 12 dead and approximately 4,000 wounded, including Iran's ambassador to Lebanon, who lost one eye and suffered serious injury to the other when a pager he was carrying exploded. Then on Wednesday, September 18th, Lebanon's health ministry said 14 people were killed and 450 were wounded when walkie-talkies held by Hezbollah terrorists exploded as well. World Israel News reports the number of people killed by the pager and walkie-talkie explosions is higher. Likely many dozens are dead, if not more. On Thursday, September 19th, sonic booms could be heard over Beirut, Lebanon, as Israeli fighter jets flew overhead and shot flares during the broadcast of a message from Hezbollah's leader, Hassan Nasrallah. A humiliated Nasrallah confessed that Hezbollah had suffered a, quote, major and unprecedented blow, and that the pager and walkie-talkie attacks, quote, violated all red lines. In his first public address since the consecutive attacks, Nasrallah said, quote, on Tuesday, Israel intended to kill 4,000 people in 1 minute by detonating the pagers. The following day, 1,000 more in 1 minute. In 2 minutes, Israel intended to kill 5,000. Vowing revenge, Nasrallah defiantly declared, quote, we will not fall, and we will come out stronger. We are preparing to face even worse attacks. We have reached an almost final conclusion. These massacres amount to war crimes, or a declaration of war. Nasrallah then invited the Lebanese people who, by the way, suffer under his diabolical leadership. He invited them to prepare to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of October 7th, when Hamas terrorists murdered 1,200 Jews and kidnapped 250 people. Nasrallah added, quote, we will tell Netanyahu and Gallant and the Israeli people, we will not stop our attacks as long as the enemy does not halt its war in Gaza. News reports reveal that Israel placed explosives into the pagers when the devices were manufactured. Get this, the Jewish Chronicle reports, quote, Israel established a complex network of shell companies across Europe in order to mount their audacious attack on Hezbollah, one of Iran's largest terror groups. Initially, it was believed that Mossad had intercepted and planted tiny bombs in a shipment of pagers destined for the Hezbollah, resulting in thousands of injuries and dozens of deaths. However, it's now suggested that Israel set up front companies across Europe to manufacture the pagers, embedding small amounts of PETN, explosive, inside, ready to be detonated by a coded message. Israeli spies are reported to have begun devising their intricate plan well before February, when Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah publicly accused Israel of using cell phone networks to track his operatives. In a televised address, Nasrallah told his followers, quote, you ask me where the agent is? I tell you that the phone in your hands, in your wife's hands, and in your children's hands is the agent. He then urged them to bury it, put it in an iron box, and lock it. So for years, Nasrallah has been advocating that Hezbollah switch to pagers, which, despite their limited capabilities, could still receive data without revealing the user's location or other compromising information. Shipments of the pagers to Lebanon began in the summer of 2022 and increased after Nasrallah's speech banning cell phones. Thousands of pagers were distributed among Hezbollah leaders and officials who saw them as defensive measures. However, Israeli intelligence referred to them as, quote, buttons to be pushed when needed. Israel triggered the pagers to beep by sending a message in Arabic, causing the explosions, likewise with the walkie-talkies. According to Axios, two sources shared that, quote, Israel's goal in the second wave of attacks was to increase paranoia and fear in Hezbollah's ranks in an attempt to press the militia's leadership to change its policy regarding the conflict with Israel, to convince Hezbollah that it's in its interest to disconnect itself from Hamas and cut a separate deal for ending the fighting with Israel regardless of a ceasefire in Gaza. On Tuesday, Israel's Security Cabinet decided to expand the current war goals to include returning northern residents to their homes because Hezbollah has been occupying southern Lebanon illegally, has launched thousands of rockets, anti-tank missiles, and drones at Israel, all unprovoked since October 8th of last year. As a result, Israel has been forced to evacuate approximately 60,500 residents from 74 northern towns, Jews and Arabs alike. Diplomatic efforts, they have failed to convince Hezbollah to stop attacking Israel and to withdraw north of Lebanon's Litani River in accordance with the agreement that ended the Second Lebanon War in 2006. Israel has said that it will use military force to push Hezbollah away from the border if necessary. On Wednesday, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said, quote, the center of gravity is moving from Gaza to the north through the diversion of resources and forces. We are opening a new phase in the war. Breitbart reports that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu posted a mysterious 10-second video in Hebrew on Wednesday stating, quote, I already said we will return the residents of the north in safety to their homes. And that is exactly what we will do. Blessors of Israel is closely monitoring this developing story. Will you please join me in praying for Israel and her people at this critical time? To receive the latest curated news concerning Israel with biblical commentary, please visit our website at www.blessors.org. That's Blessors with an ors.org. We also ask that you subscribe to our channel on this platform and make sure you like this podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, X, and Getter. We also appreciate your prayers and ongoing financial support as we build this new, important ministry. Thanks again for joining me. Remember, those who bless Israel will be blessed. Shalom, shalom.